If there's just one thing to say about this week is S&P 500 over 5,000. I ready to summarize the week. All the news, all the headlines, everything that you need to know, and get ready for the week ahead. Let's go. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, welcome. I'm Micha Stocks, and on this channel we talk about everything that goes on in the stock market. Just a quick reminder, anything and everything that you see on the channel is of course not financial advice. It's only for education and entertainment purpose only. Let's start. When we look at our channel, we are now 2.7k subscribers, and it would be amazing if you could click that subscribe button if you enjoy content like this. Let's start. A great week for the Russell, up 2.5%, NASDAQ up 1.7%, S&P up 1.36%, and the Dow, unch. When we look at the indices, we can see that utilities underperformed and also communications, but on the flip side, we see technology and consumer discretionary on the green side. Let's look at the crypto market. Bitcoin up 11% during the week. Well, apparently everyone's waiting for the halving that's supposed to happen in April. And Ethereum is up 9%. When we look at commodities, we see oil, crude oil up 6%, while natural gas down 11.6%. Magnificent 7, back being Magnificent 7, or maybe Magnificent 1, which is NVIDIA, again up another 9%. Meta down, correcting after an amazing week last week, down 1.45%. The rest, it's funny because Google is up 4.6%, and we're like, oh, 4%, that's a lot. 4.6% for Google. Tesla even green, plus 3%. When we look at our heat map, our weekly heat map, this is how it looks like. When we see energy on the red side, utilities on the red side, and consumer non-durables on the red side, all the rest pretty much green. A green week for the markets. And this, of course, brings us to the overbought conditions. The market currently are extremely overbought on the S&P 500 and the S&P 100, which is the top 100 stocks, on the different ETFs that are following them. We're also overbought on the Russell 1000, which is the 1,000 bigger companies in the Russell 2000, and on the rest, we are between overbought and neutral, but mainly we're overbought on the markets, and a correction might happen eventually in our time, and that will bring us directly to the headlines of the week. And you can't start a week without talking about the companies that reported on the week that passed. We had McDonald's reporting, we had Palantir was an amazing report, and the stock went up almost 50%. We saw Eli Lilly, Spotify, Snap, crashed 35% down. And phase forward, we saw Alibaba miss on their revenue. We saw PayPal lowering their guidance. We saw Walt Disney affirming their guidance and actually putting some more confidence in the hands of investors. We saw ARM, which might be the Pearl Harbor of the analysts. There were 20-something analysts that were covering ARM. ARM went IPO 3 months ago. Everyone knew their numbers. The highest price for ARM stock by an analyst was $110. ARM, after the report, went up to $125. Who can explain that? We also saw ConocoPhillips, Affirm, actually an okay report. Only problem is, as usual with the consumer, Pinterest crashed, but Net, on the other hand, went up 25%, and we ended the week with PepsiCo on a mediocre report, not here, not there. S&P 500, over 500 on the SPY, and 5,000 on the SPX. It took us 2.5 years, if I'm not mistaken, to get to this point from the 400 or from the 4,000. And statistics show that it doesn't really do anything to the markets. It doesn't slow down things. It doesn't pull things. It's just a number. And here, April 2021, almost 3 years since the 4,000. I'll keep saying that this should be a warning sign for everyone. The amount of layoffs in the last 3 months have increased again. Look at the numbers. And the latest is Cisco on Friday saying they're planning on reducing their headcount by thousands of employees. You can see the numbers here. I don't like it. I don't know yet what the impact would be, but I don't like it. We'll see. And NVIDIA is building a new business unit focused on designing custom chips. This report actually came out 2022. The only difference is now they're saying that Meta, Microsoft, and Amazon, I think, are working hand by hand with them to buy from that unit. That's what's interesting about that. And that brings us, of course, to China. China property crisis, as we know, actually right now is starting to have a ripple effect across the world. So we know about the property issues in the US. Apparently, Europe is also going to be impacted by that. And Europe, this is Tucker Carlson, who was kicked or he left. Fox, doesn't really matter. Sat for an interview with Vladimir Putin this week. Didn't impact the markets, but a very, very strange interview where Tucker asks a question. Putin says whatever he wants. Facts are not something that's important in that discussion. Crazy interview. It made the highlights and the headlines because it's important, but I wouldn't say it was something you should write home about. Disney investing $1.5 billion in Epic Games, the creator of Fortnite, and also, of course, doubling down on Disney Plus and on a new channel that we're going to talk about in a second. Banks across the US are pricing in cuts. The lowest one is between Bank of America and HBC on around 75 basis points. The highest one is UBS, 250 basis points in Jefferies, meaning everyone is expecting rate cuts during 2024. And the market loves it. That's why we see that exuberant in the market. And this is Sam Altman, who is seeking, sit down and listen to this number, seeking to raise $7 trillion. I don't know if the report is correct or not. $7 trillion to reinvent the business of chips and AI. $7 trillion. Let that sink in. Of course, you can only raise that kind of capital with UAE and oil money. No other money can support that kind of raise, but we'll see. It would be very interesting to see the exuberance around NVIDIA. Maybe there is something in the chip market. And New York Community Bank survived another week. I'm recording this on a Saturday. Maybe they won't survive, but actually they did. They promised this week, or they actually published this week, that they don't see any problems in payments from their customers. And also they started to offload a few of their more riskier assets. They're trying to survive. Hopefully they will. And we won't see a banking crisis in 2024. And Apple and McGee is their new AI, just like Google has Bard or Gemini. We'll see in a second. Microsoft has Copilot and OpenAI has ChatGPT. Now Apple has McGee. It's not released yet. Probably will release on the WWDC around June or July. Currently, they're working on their own AI version. And I talked about this. I related to this when I mentioned Disney. ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers, and Disney, which is ESPN, are working together to launch a joint sports streaming platform this year. Basically, we will have an app that will have all the sport events, or hopefully most of the sport events that are occurring in the world. And of course, it will cost. They don't know how much yet, but that might be very, very interesting. I wonder if it's going to be on the Apple Vision Pro. Adam Neumann, the founder of WeWork that was kicked out of WeWork, now wants to buy WeWork from the fact that they went bankrupt. That's a nice turn of events. And Zuckerberg and Meta are trying to identify more AI-generated images and content in order to make sure that it's not going to shape elections during this year. If I'm not mistaken, 50% of the population in the world are going to vote. And Meta is at least saying they're going to take this seriously. Palantir reported on Monday. Alex Karp, their CEO and founder, said a few very interesting things. One is that, of course, there's surging AI demand, which we heard from everyone around the AI. But the second thing, not less important, is that they're flooded by engineers and developers that want to work for Palantir. Now, why is he surprised? Because Palantir is a 20-year-old company, but on the other hand, they're doing very cool stuff, so people want to work there. And Boeing, how can you be more disconnected than that? With all their crisis, with all the problems that they have with the planes, their employees right now are demanding 40% pay raise. Nothing to say about that. And Apple Vision Pro hit everyone by surprise with all the amazing reviews that it got. I can tell you that as someone that has the Apple Vision Pro, I love it. It's amazing. And now YouTube, that didn't really want to develop an app, now is saying, okay, maybe we need to launch a Vision Pro app. So they're going to probably launch their app as well on the Vision Pro. Currently, there is an app that you can pay $5 and you can have kind of a Vision Pro look and feel for it. But you can also see through Safari, so it's not that big of a deal. Polestar is losing a few of their contracts with Hertz. It's hurting, of course, Polestar's stock. PSNY is the ticker. And also Volvo is reducing their investment in Polestar. And this is Barry Sternlicht. And he's also warning of a commercial real estate issue with $3 trillion of assets that are currently priced $1.8 trillion. Basically, lost their value. Apple seemed to talk about a lot about Apple today. Apple is building a prototype of at least two flip phones, just like we had in the past. It brings back memories. So we might see that. I think Samsung has a flip phone and also other brands. So they're not first of the game. Apple is never first of the game. They want to usually, on their part, create the best product they can and only then put it in the market. And Google finally joining the AI race with Gemini, their new, instead of Bard, generative AI competing with ChatGPT. I tried it out. Can't say I was super excited from it. We'll see. They might add more and more features as time goes by. And China, they're still in their deflationary issues, and they see prices falling. They haven't seen that in 15 years. And this is nothing else than shipping costs. With the Suez Canal being closed, with all the Houthis and their issues, shipping costs are going up in a dramatic way, but it's not really helping Maersk and others. This came from Maersk. It's not really helping them, and Maersk CEO actually is suspending share buyback because he feels like they currently might have an issue around the globe. And last but not least, McKinsey is also shedding 3,000 employees from their headcount. Those were all the headlines. Now, let's talk about next week. But we can't start talking about next week before we talk about what's going to happen in a few hours. Super Bowl. Yeah, Super Bowl Sunday, we're going to see a lot of commercials. A lot of companies are going to try to get more and more sales or brand recognition or both through their commercial. 30 seconds of commercial, $7 million. Is it worth it? I don't know. No one really knows, but everyone wants to be there. That's the NFL. That's the Super Bowl. And these are the companies that are going to report next week. We have Monday.com. We have Arista Networks. We have Waste Management, Cadence, ZoomInfo. That's on Monday. Tuesday, we have Shopify, Datadog, Coke. And also we have Airbnb, Upstart, and Robinhood, and Lyft. Wednesday is actually kind of a slow day. We're going to see Kraft Heinz, Generac, and then Albemarle, Twilio, Oxy, and Cisco. And on Thursday, Crocs, Deere, EPAM, and Yeti, and DraftKings, Coinbase, Roku, The Trade Desk. But wait for Tuesday, because Tuesday is going to be Super Tuesday. How do I know? Look at the companies and look at this calendar. When we look at the calendar for next week, we see that Tuesday, 8:30 in the morning, we are going to get our CPI reading. And on Friday, we're going to get our PPI reading. Did we want to get these readings? No, but we're going to get them and they might spook the market. Be ready for any, let's call it, overbought move that the market might present upon us. And we need to end with the S&P 500, as we do every time. S&P 500 currently closed on Friday in 501.2. We are beyond our parallel channel. And right now we're further away from our moving average, and a correction will come. Whether it will come next week or the week after, maybe Tuesday, I don't know, but I do know that currently I'm taking measures of, safety, just to make sure that I'm not surprised on the S&P, on the NASDAQ, and all the other indices and the specific stocks, because it went up from October almost without a correction all the way up, which means that we went up from 409 to 501 without a correction. That's not healthy. It's not common. We should get a pullback and a correction. And last time we had such a long stretch, we almost gave back most of it. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some kind of pullback, whether it's major or minor, it doesn't really matter. And another interesting statistic, and we'll end by that. This is the longest stretch of green weeks in the green days, without the S&P correcting more than 2% per day. Will it happen? It will happen. So thank you very much for watching this weekly summary. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it made sense. I hope it brought you value. If yes, you can smash that like button, and I'll see you back next week. Same time, same place. Bye-bye.